What up? New video. We'll see if I cut it off in a moment because I think someone's setting up a leaf blower near me. If so, I will probably re-record this. Feeling a little underdressed. It's more chilly than I thought, but I've got the Oprah sweater on. I got some gloves once I light the herbal cig. It's nice to come out here for a reason. Zero Sugar Canada Dry. So I think what's on my mind today is energy levels, being able to advocate for yourself in a way. There's times where I'm out somewhere and I think I really want to go home, or I think I really miscalculated my energy levels. I'm really out of steam. Example recently was helping a friend shop for stuff at IKEA. They're moving into a new place, and I was out of gas. I was out of gas. I couldn't really do anything. Could barely keep a conversation. It had been a heavy day beforehand. Some journaling, some heavy feelings, and I didn't have the energy for it. And when you're in a half-masked state, if you're in a semi-dissociative state, like people who carry trauma or PTSD have, it becomes easy to push through those moments because you're not really listening to yourself, right? You can quiet yourself to get through a situation like that. It doesn't feel good long-term because you're misrepresenting your own energy levels, but it gets you through the situation because it's a survival mechanism, right? The challenge of being so unopened or unblocked, the challenge of having so much flow through is that, at least right now, I don't really have the luxury of that the way I used to. The people-pleasing tendencies to not cause a scene and not cause a problem and not ask for something don't have the same level of do-or-die control over my body. So what does that look like in practice? That means that I get really quiet. I can barely speak. I'm starting to disassociate out of my body. I feel myself going up into my head and thinking a lot. Giving very soft or blunt replies because I'm having a hard time even kind of taking in the whole thing. It's kind of like being overstimulated, I'd say. And I start to feel this friction of the need to people please rubbing up against the need to give myself a second. And it doesn't even need to be long. It doesn't need to be some gigantic decision. It can just be hey, can I take a moment? Can I just kind of reground here for a second? And there's the severity of it, if that makes sense. If it's a really tough day, okay, then, maybe I'm going to go wait in the car. But it might be different. So what happened was I was feeling it so strongly. I felt that friction. I stopped for a second and did a deep breath. I checked in with myself and I was I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed right now. And rather than hide that, or rather than mask it, or rather than try to obfuscate it or tell a story about it, I just went to the person with me and was like, hey, listen, I'm a little overstimulated right now. I'm feeling a lot right now. Is it okay if I go to after the checkout where there's like the seating area with the ice cream and shit? You mind if I go hang out there for a bit and I just catch up with you then? Is that all right? And they were obviously totally fine with it. We had already done a huge chunk of IKEA, even if it was like a practical thing, and the actual moving of the heavy stuff had been done. Like either an employee could help them or the stuff they needed was kind of like saved away or whatever. So then I went over there, I waited for a bit, took a deep breath, went and got a tea from the cafe, sat for a bit, and then checked my phone, just sent a text, hey, how's the shopping going? I'm feeling pretty okay, I can come join you. He's like, no, I'm in the checkout, so I'll just meet you. And we chatted about it, and it was totally fine. It was an expressing of my own needs that so many steps of the way, my body and brain have created so much friction in communicating my emotional state or my needs in a way that's like, it's not bad, because some days I'll feel a lot, right? I'll feel a lot of pressure or feel a lot of emotional states. And it won't really like affect me in that way, I guess. Let me focus on one thing at a time. Okay. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to communicating my needs in that way. It didn't feel important enough to bring up. Emotions didn't feel that worthy of being honored in that way, because it felt to me weakness in myself. It's crazy because I would never hold that for somebody else. And sometimes when I'm saying things like that, I'll catch myself saying it out loud and be like, oh my God, what a terrible thing to think. Because I'm thinking about it in this like speaking to another person, and then kind of realizing that that's how I look at it into myself. It's like a moment of healing, you know? It's like I feel the narrative being rewritten kind of in real time as I acknowledge it. A negative thought that loops. Yeah. So something that's kind of changing. Some days it's strong, some days it's not. I think I'm in a pretty emotionally dysregulated state, maybe is the way to call it, where things are just still feeling so strong recovering from EMDR that it might not always look exactly like this, but some things might. Some things might bring up a lot of stuff. I think that's part of it that's kind of scary, is that I might become the type of person that when there's a heavy topic comes up says, oh, I don't want to go there. We're not going there right now. Not being emotionally cold, still expressing myself fully, but like in that knowing that there's some things that maybe are still a little prickly or a little soft or a little tender or a little, hard to go to, or it like spins up a lot of my energy. Having enough trust to know that like feeling a little bit of that is okay, but maybe not wanting to go to that full state. It's a lot. And I want to give it that space that, if it's a heavy conversation or talking with someone that I feel connected to or feel that I can really express myself fully to, that's when I do it. And in situations where I don't do it. If I'm in a coffee shop with a bunch of people around, maybe that's not the time. Maybe if I'm distracted with something else, like driving or like cleaning or something, maybe that's not the time either. Or maybe it is because like, I kind of have a secondary activity I'm focusing on, almost like an EMDR type of thing, where it's like eyes are looking to another spot, kind of like you're focused on a target, there's drive going on. Maybe those are the times to share it. I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is that I'm sharing it a lot. And it's feeling very intense to a point where sometimes talking about it or sharing too much with everybody and having to tell the full story to everybody spins me up too much. It's like too difficult. And I don't really want to go there all the time with everybody. Not that they haven't earned it or they don't deserve it. It's just that being that open can be emotionally heavy. Constantly going to those places can be emotionally heavy. And not every conversation needs to go there, even with people that I do feel emotionally safe with. There's other things I want to talk about too. It's just right now it feels like it's so front of mind, I guess, that it feels like it's all I talk about. And I think this kind of goes hand in hand with like expressing my needs, because that's what I think the main through line is here. Part of that is like expressing myself to other people. So like, is it okay if this is all I'm talking about right now? Because these are my friends and my family and my partner, and I love them, and I trust that they are going to hold what I'm going through with some care, and that if this is the type of person I am right now, then that's who they get. Versus this is really intense, this is really a lot, and it might not be right to my friends to kind of like go there all the time. In the sense that I don't know how their day's been, and have I given them proper consent for going to these places, or, is it kind of whipping them up into a bit too much of a whirlwind for like where it is right now? Yeah, that's still on my mind. Because I love them and I care for them. But at what point does loving and caring for them actually mean I'm like policing my own behavior around them, if that makes sense? That's to me what masking is. Like when I really think of when I have a mask on and how it's slowly coming off, part of that is that I'm almost like tailoring the version of myself to the person that I'm talking to. And I think part of that is because I care about them and I know their needs. So if they express that they really like ice cream, if we drive by a place, I'm going to remember that and be like, hey, have you checked out this place? Like next time I see them, I'm going to be like, hey, have you been to this gelato place? Because I know you love gelato. I think that's a good amount of considering other people and caring about them and remembering details and being interested in them. But then there's a part of it where it's like, how do I make sure I'm very palatable to them? So it's like, how do I make sure I'm like having a fun time or communicating that I'm having a fun time? How do I make sure I'm not a burden? Or how do I make sure I'm not bringing the mood down? Because if I'm bringing the mood down too much, they're going to think that I'm just a buzzkill. That why are we hanging around this person if they're always just such a bummer? Or being angry all the time, or being crazy all the time, or being silly all the time, or being unserious, or being too serious. How do I make sure I'm essentially balancing like every emotion and feeling of another person? That's too much. That's too far. That's me wanting them to be their authentic self, yet withholding my authentic self to them. So what I'm practicing doing is being that version of myself rather than rather than trying to intellectually break down all the versions of myself, like I want to approach it somatically, if that makes sense, rather than intellectually. I think my approach to improving my self-image, or the way I view myself, in sense of worthiness, to just kind of, be this authentic version of myself, rather than hyper-intellectualize it and read a million books on it, I want to do things that express that authentic self. And then by doing enough things that express that authentic self, I can kind of make meaning out of it later, right? Like, there's just times and actions where I hang out with people, or I hang out with my partner, or I hang out with my friends, or I talk to my family on the phone, where I do let those guards down, and I do let myself fully embody that version of myself, that one with the guards down, being there in the present moment, feeling like in my body, I guess, like being fully there. It means I don't police my own behavior as much. And obviously there's still enough of a thinking brain that if there was anything like completely outside my comfort zone, or they're doing something, I can express my own needs, or if a situation's in danger or something like that. But like, I'll act like that fully open version of myself, and then kind of reflect on it afterwards, rather than, okay, I'm going to this hangout, here's some ways I'm going to try to express myself. Here's some strategies that I learned that I'm going to try to apply in this situation. Like, I've always approached everything that way, and it feels just wrong in this situation. Thinking before shooting, or like aiming before shooting scenario led to me over aiming and under shooting. And I think what I want to do is trust that I can shoot enough that I can kind of figure out where to aim from shooting a bunch, because it's safe enough to do so. There's a million arrows. The quiver is infinite. Wow. I think I'm going to put that on a shirt. I think I'm literally going to go home right now and put the quiver is infinite on a shirt with like a stupid picture of an elf or something. That's very silly, and I think probably a good place to end it if my brain's going there. Talk to you guys later.